We are solving IELTS general reading matching information questions from book 19, test 2. The passage provides details about 5 campsites. Campsites are places where people go for camping. When looking for answers, the names of campsites are usually not important. For matching information questions, start by reading all the questions and identifying key details. You need to remember the important points as you scan the passage. The keywords are highlighted on your screen. And in blue, you can see the meanings of some of the words from the questions and some ideas about what kind of thing you could be looking for. For example, the first question says at certain times. So this could mean a season or a time of day, or it could have something to do with weather conditions. Also, some questions may seem similar, but they focus on different details. For example, question 4 is about a physical challenge. Question 7 mentions physical effort. Similarly, question 2 is about going somewhere from the campsite, but question 5 is about going to the campsite. We'll discuss these details of each question as we do it. Let's understand a few words from the passage. A cliff is a high rock, usually by the sea. A rock face is the vertical surface of a high rock or of a cliff. There are related words like cliff top and cliff edge. Cliff top is the flat area at the top of a cliff. Cliff edge is the end of a cliff. A motorhome is a big van or bus that people can live in while traveling. Let's start with the first question. The site is impossible to get to at certain times. Get to means how to reach the site. Certain times means a specific time. It could mean a season, maybe in the morning or at night, etc. When we scan the passage with this information in mind, we see mentions of reaching a place in sections C, D, and E. Let's read these closely. Section C says that there are some problems in getting to Oakerley or the campsite. This means getting to the campsite is difficult. It is not impossible. So C is incorrect. Section E says that people come to the campsite from hundreds of miles away. This tells us that people come from far away. And it also mentions that people attempt rock climbing at the site, not always with success. This part, not always with success, is about rock climbing, not about reaching the campsite. So, E is also incorrect. Section D mentions that the campsite is very simple, it has basic facilities, but then it says, in periods of bad weather, it can't be reached at all. The certain times mentioned in the question is periods of bad weather, and impossible to get to is can't be reached at all. So, the answer to the first question is D. Moving on to the second question. It says that from the campsite, you can go by car to other tourist places. So we are looking for any mention of car or driving and a mention of tourist attractions near the campsite. When scanning, we find mentions of driving and car in sections A and C, And there is some mention of surroundings in section E. Let's read these closely. Section E talks about activities around the campsite, rock climbing, bird watching, and bathing in the sea. This means these activities are at the campsite. You don't have to go by car for these activities. So, E is incorrect. Section C says that you come to the campsite by car. After that, restaurants, etc., are mentioned, but they are at the campsite. You don't have to drive to reach there. So, C is incorrect. Section A says that from the campsite, you can drive to Rock Museum, craft workshops, and Gaydon Castle. A convenient place corresponds with an ideal base. Going by car is driving, and the various tourist spots are the museum, workshops, and castle. So, the answer to the second question is A. Moving on to the third question. The third question says that there is a marked zone or a specific area at the campsite where you should camp. Section C says make sure you pitch your tent within the white line. Within the white line is the marked zone. You should camp means to put up or pitch your tent. This is the only section that talks about a specific area where people must set up their tents. So the answer to the third question is C. Moving on to the fourth question. A particular physical challenge means a difficult physical activity. Example, trekking, climbing, and surfing. The question says that campers enjoy this physical challenge. So, we are looking for a difficult activity that campers enjoy. Section B mentions narrow cliff steps and a good level of fitness. This part, it offers splendid views to attractive beaches, means that the campsite has beautiful views of beaches. To reach these beaches, people have to go down narrow steps, and these steps are difficult because it says that you need a good level of fitness. If we compare this to the question, the cliff steps are the physical challenge. Campers use these cliff steps to go to the beach. But there is no mention of campers enjoying the cliff steps. So, B is incorrect. Section D mentions few facilities, which means there are not many comforts at the campsite. This can mean physically uncomfortable, but it is not mentioning any one physical activity. Section E mentions climbing rock faces. So people come to this campsite for rock climbing, which they enjoy. The physical activity is rock climbing. It is a challenge because not everyone is successful. It is a difficult activity. And especially attractive to rock climbers means campers or rock climbers enjoy this activity. So, the answer to the fourth question is E. Question 5 says, the difficult journey to the site is worth the effort, which means it is difficult to reach the site, but the campsite is so good that the difficult journey is worth it. As we scan the passage, we see some mentions of difficulty, such as steep steps, problems, and bad weather. Let's read these closely. The cliff steps in section B are to go to the beaches. The beaches are attractive. So we can say that the beaches are worth the effort. But the question is about going to the campsite, not about going to the beaches near the campsite. So B is incorrect. Section D says that in bad weather, we cannot reach the campsite. It also says that the facilities are very basic. So it doesn't say that the journey is always difficult. It only mentions problems in bad weather. And there is nothing about the campsite being very good or worth the effort. So D is incorrect. Section E mentions a difficult climb at the campsite. The question is not about this. It also mentions that people come to this site from hundreds of miles away. This tells us that the journey is long. It does not tell us that the journey is difficult. So E is incorrect. Section C says that there are problems getting to Oakerley or the campsite. So these problems refer to difficult journey. You won't be disappointed means it is worth the effort. The answer to the fifth question is C. The sixth question says, few people have heard of this site. Few people means almost no one has heard of it. Few is different from a few. A few means some. So few is important here. This means that the site is not very popular. Section A says campsite is well known or popular. This is the opposite of what the question says. Section D has the word few, but this says that the campsite has few facilities. It is not about how many people have heard of this place or how popular this place is. Section B says that handful of campers know about the campsite so far. Handful of means a small number of. The campsite is new. It opened last year. It says that it may be a winner, which means it could become popular in future. Not many people have heard of this site yet. So the answer to the sixth question is B. Moving on to the seventh question. Physical effort means it is not easy to do something. So we could be looking for a difficult walk, hike, etc. And we are looking for a mention of coastal areas or ocean. C is mentioned in section E. Also, some physical effort is mentioned because rock climbing is mentioned. But the two are not connected. Bird watching and bathing in the sea are mentioned as activities other than rock climbing. So the physical effort is for rock climbing, the coastal areas corresponds to the sea, but in section E, this is about two different things. So E is incorrect. Section B says there are beaches or coastal areas near the campsite. There are steps to reach the beach which need a good level of fitness. The coastal areas are the beaches. Physical effort is the effort needed to climb the steep cliff steps. So the answer to the seventh question is B. On your screen are all the answers with their location in the passage. It is important to read the questions carefully. Also, some synonyms like coastal areas and beaches are needed to find out the answers. Hope this helped you. I'll solve the rest of this test in my future videos. All the very best.